Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as I'm sure you know by now, Wednesday means it's Wildcard Wednesday, and today's Modern deck is the epitome of wild. I haven't seen anything quite this crazy in a long time. It's a little bit reminiscent of a deck we played a while ago on Mucha Brew, which was Cocoa Walls, but this has a really interesting twist to it, but it has some similarities. But this is Wall Mill for Modern, and this one took Nagata Takahiro to an undefeated finish in a small Japanese tournament, so congrats to Nagata on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break this insane deck down: if you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, Wall Mill is built around mana producing walls, but don't worry, it gets much crazier than this. We've seen this package before. Axebane Guardian, Overgrown Battlement, Wall of Roots. Together, these cards let the deck generate a ton of mana. In the Cocoa Walls deck we played, it was this package of cards that let us cast Emeralds pretty consistently without doing any other ramping. So these cards just tap for a ton of mana because our deck is full of walls. Axebane Guardian often is tapping for 4 or 5 mana of any color. Overgrown Battlement, same thing, but only green mana. And the Wall of Roots, great blocker, also kind of adds double mana. We're kind of like building our own soul lands. Like, remember what made the Eldrazi deck so powerful in Modern was the ability to have 12 lands that would tap for 2 mana, essentially. Well, we're kind of doing the same thing with our 2 and 3 mana walls. So we're getting all these walls that tap for multiple mana, and it just lets us do some really crazy thing. The rest of our walls are pretty interesting. Perimeter Captain gains us some life, 0/4 for 1 mana whenever a creature with Defender, which all of our walls are, blocks, we gain 2 life. So it's just really hard for aggressive decks to attack into us, because not only can we just block their stuff, we're blocking their stuff and gaining life along the way. So aggressive decks just get locked down by our deck very easily. Then we have Wall of Denial and Wall of Swords, and these are big flying walls. So we got the flyers locked down with this deck. We're not going to get beaten down by Inkmoth Nexuses and Vault Scourges and Restoration Angels. And then, kind of the key card in this deck that makes everything work is Drift of Phantasms. So Drift of Phantasms is a wall, essentially. It has Defender, so it works kind of with our Defender theme. However, the reason it's in the deck is because of Transmute. So we can pay 1 and 2 blue, discard Drift, and search for another card with the same converted mana cost, which is 3. So what are we doing with Drift of Phantasm? There's a whole bunch of things, but Drift is a card that gets us all of our finishers. So first off, we have the infinite combo of Archangel of Thune and Spike Feeder, and Drift of Phantasm is the card that makes sure we can find our Archangel, our Spike Feeder, even though they're one of. So Drift can get Chord of Calling, which in turn can get Archangel, and then Drift can get Spike Feeder directly, or it could get a Chord, which can in turn get Spike Feeder. But if we can set up the Archangel of Thune Spike Feeder combo, we basically make our creatures infinitely big. Might seem weird with walls, but the Angel can attack, the Spike Feeder can attack, so we can attack with some of our stuff. Also gains us an infinite amount of life. So when we have a ton of walls in infinite life, it's going to take a long time for our opponent to kill us, even if we don't manage to kill them with our infinitely big creatures, since most of them can attack. So we gain an infinite amount of life, and then we kind of change things up. We can Drift to Phantasms for the Chord of Calling to get a Phenax God of Deception, and this is our finisher. This is how the game ends. So Phenax doesn't really see much play, but it gives all of our creatures ability to tap and mill cards equal to their toughness. So we got a lot of 3, 4, 5, 7 toughness creatures. We're eventually going to tutor up Chord to get Phenax, and then in the course of like 1 or 2 turns, just mill our opponent out of the game. By at the end of our opponent's turn, tap all our creatures, mill like 20 or 30 cards with all of our walls, do it again the next turn. That's where the wall mill plan comes in. And then we have a bunch of just helpful tutor targets with Drift of Phantasms. Since we're playing all walls, we don't really mind having an Ensnaring Bridge out. Yeah, we can attack, but we don't really want to attack, because none of our creatures can attack anyway, so this makes sure our opponent isn't going to beat us down with creatures. Beast Within as a removal spell that hits literally any permanent. Can get lands, can get planeswalkers, and then Staff of Domination takes advantage of the fact we can just make a ton of mana. If we get a bunch of walls on the battlefield, we can easily make 12, 15, 20 mana in a turn, so we can draw 2 or 3 cards in a turn, tap down an Emrakul or something, gain some life, all kinds of value with Staff. And then the last main deck cards, we do have Collected Companies. They don't really set up our combos, but they give us a lot of wall value. It's just get 2 walls from our deck onto the battlefield, which in turn equals a ton of mana when we have Wall of Roots, Axebane Guardian, all that. And then Assault Formation, in case we want to go on the wall beatdown plan, we can pay a green to allow our walls to attack, and then we just beat our opponent down. As far as the mana base, there's a bunch more lands in this, but basically what it comes down to is Cavern of Souls to force our stuff through counters, a bunch of Fenches, a bunch of shock lands, and some basic lands. In the sideboard, Ghost Quarter for Tron, Beast Within, also good against Tron, but kind of a catch-all. Surgical for graveyards, Pulse of the Fields, don't see that one often, but gains us some life. And then we have a bunch of hateful creatures, Kataki for affinity, Eidolon for like Brawl Storm decks, a Phyrexian Revoker can deal with a Planeswalker, Oblivion Stone. Is it Staticaster? Shoots down a whole bunch of Lingering Souls tokens, and then Spellskite is good at protecting our other more important walls. And that is Wall Mill for Modern. And that's been our Wildcard Wednesday instant deck tech for this week. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.